I am pretty sure I'm not going to exaggerate very much when I say that every musician has likely experienced this feeling when they look at a score and they think, oh gosh, this is quite a lot of notes. Sometimes you can experience this when you move to playing some more advanced pieces, or sometimes when you get to playing a piece which is just a little bit longer than what you've been used to playing so far. For example, 2 pages when you were used to single page pieces or anything like that. When we make that transition, we sometimes get ourselves into thinking that with a longer piece we need to somehow accelerate our learning, that now we cannot afford to go slowly anymore, or that learning at our usual speed will be somehow, I don't know why, a waste of time. And when that happens, we can get all sorts of feelings, from pressure to learn as much as we can in the shortest possible time, through feeling of overwhelm when we try to do this, to the feeling of failure when we work out that we can't make it all work together. So today I will show you one simple trick which will help you navigate challenging pieces and situations like that, so you can stay calm and progress at a pace that works for you. This really cool tip will also help you to deal with any potentially tricky places within the pieces, and it will also ensure that you spend as much time as is needed on those. This is especially important if you're revisiting an older piece and you already know about some places that will need more attention than the others. Plus, getting things ready for the way we will do today is really good fun. So let's have a look. First, you will need to make an extra copy of the score that can be printed, so if you normally play from a tablet, you would need to make an actual physical paper copy. Once you've got it printed, you will also need a pencil, with a rubber if possible, and a pair of scissors. These are your essentials, but depending on the piece and how you decide to approach it, you may also need some highlighters and some sellotape. Now, you want to lay out your whole score in front of you, if possible. If you cannot have all the pages, then as many as you can fit. We're going to look for 2 things. First, we will try to find any places that may be similar. For example, in many pieces, what you play right at the beginning may be repeated later in the piece. Very often, pieces are organized with similar patterns following every 4, 8 or 16 bars, so it's worth checking if you can spot any regularities there. Now take the pencil and mark sections which look the same, with the same letters or symbols. For now, it doesn't matter too much whether they are completely identical or not. You will look into this in more detail later. Now, we're going to look at what we've got and try to find the potentially tricky bits in the piece. This could likely be patterns which don't appear anywhere else. Usually you will find them somewhere around the middle of the piece. Some unusual rhythms or rhythms that didn't appear earlier, more notes than earlier, or more levers or pedal changes, anything like that. We will mark these potentially tricky places with our pencil again, but later when the structure of the piece becomes a bit more clear, you can also use highlighters to make finding different sections easier. Now we're going to pick the most difficult section in this piece. If you've played it before, you will likely know what it is. Sometimes it also happens that it's pretty obvious, even if it's the first time you will be working on a new piece. But if you're not quite sure about which place is the most difficult one, I will have some more tips for you at the end of this video. For now, try to do your best and follow your feeling about which place looks the hardest. Once you've got it, you're going to cut it out. And if the tricky section seems to be quite long, you can cut it into smaller bits. Ideally, you want bits which are just a few bars long, maybe between 4 and 8, something which looks much more like an exercise rather than a big piece. Keep this section on the side for now. This is also the perfect moment to check for the potentially tricky places within this section, such as, for example, end of a line or music moving from one page to the other. I've been talking about it in the previous episode of the Coffee Break Harp, so make sure you check it out if you haven't already. So if you notice that somewhere within that section you have to move between the lines or pages, you may as well cut out each of the lines and stick them together, so while you're learning you avoid these jumps. Then you can progress similarly with other sections. Here you will try to keep the sections that are similar together. Make sure you also check what's inside any of the sections that have been left unmarked, because depending how easy or hard they look like, you may also want to cut them into smaller sections. Next, you're going to put away everything apart from the hardest section that you found right at the very beginning. That's the one that goes on your music stand for you to practice first. And once that feels familiar and not so overwhelming anymore, you can add the others that you've kept on the side for now. This is a brilliant way of working on the pieces if you often find yourself worrying that you're not progressing fast enough or that you've still got a long way to go. You simply remove all the worrying bits from your side and focus completely on what's in front of you. It's also great if you played the piece already and you know that you love to practice some places more than the others, so this will definitely help you make sure that when you revisit the music you start from the challenging bit that needs most work. And if you start from the hardest bit, then the biggest challenge is out of the way right at the start, instead of you getting stuck there when you get there later. Some more tips about this method. If at first you're not really sure which bit is the tricky bit, don't worry about it too much. The method will be still extremely helpful because it will allow you to focus on smaller sections and get to know the piece better in a deeper way. And with time and experience, you will get a much better idea of what can be hard and what's easy. And sometimes different people find different bits harder or easier, it just depends. So for now, try to do your best finding one section that you will focus on first. And if you have absolutely no clue and everything looks hard, still divide the piece into smaller sections in whatever way seems best and then pick one that you will get started with. This will still help you make sure that you're not trying to do too much first and that you keep your practiced focus on one thing at a time. When it comes to picking the first bit, for most pieces the middle sections tend to be a bit harder than beginning, so I would suggest that you choose from there, but if it's the beginning that feels like a bit of a bigger challenge, it's fine to go from there too. Whatever you decide, give yourself the permission to focus on just one section with only a few bars at a time, as if it was a complete piece. If that won't be too overwhelming, you can pick a few more sections and keep them nearby so you can switch easily within one practice session between them. I promise that if you continue working on a piece like this, you will soon be surprised by how much you have achieved and how great it will feel to put these pieces of puzzle finally back together. Now let me know, have you tried this method before? And if so, how did you find it? Let me know in the comments and make sure to subscribe so you get notified of future episodes. I will see you here very soon. Take care for now. Bye!